hope everyone's doing well. Welcome back to another weekly outlook. So cool. Had a bit of a, I wouldn't necessarily say slow week. We're currently in one position that we will go over in a second. But DXY stalled a little bit. Nothing crazy in terms of movement this week. We did get a bit of a kick down, but we're sort of still in the same range. Nothing I would say too definitive. But what is something to note is that the monthly candle has swept the previous month's high, displaced lower. I would say the odds are, as we expect, that price will push for these lows. That is what we want to see, right? And if you think about the sentiment, all the things that have been in the news, not just generally, we're pointing towards a rate cut for the dollar. The Bank of England cut the rates again. The odds are, the dollar sort of next in line, or rather the Federal Reserve are next in line to cut rates as well. So yeah, let's start off with Forex Factory, right? This week we have CPI coming up, which is definitely going to be a big mover. It's going to have a big impact on the sentiment in regards to whether it either sort of consolidates or confirms it or shows something along the other lines. Not much on the Wednesday. On the Thursday, we have PPI and GDP for the pound to watch for as well. And then a couple news folders on the Friday as well. Middle of New York and London closed kills on to watch out for consumer sentiment and retail sales. So not a bad week all in all. The biggest mover and the most important, I would say, is definitely here on the CPI on the Tuesday. Right, let's get into it. So as we said, for the dollar, we've swept the previous month's high. We've had a bit of displacement down. From here, I would be anticipating continuation. I want to see price head lower. Now, we've had a very small weekly candle. It's an inside candle, and the previous candle had a large wick. Now, I'd like to see this as a 3-bar swing, but considering how small this weekly candle is there a chance we could re-sweep this? I wouldn't say it's off the table. I'd potentially consider it for now a good, sort of zone to place the high of the week that I'd be looking for in the coming week is a sweep into this daily fair value gap. We treat this as a sort of range. You can see we had a bit of AMD accumulation, manipulated higher, the displacement lower. I'd like to see a sweep here on previous daily high and then a possible continuation rather than a deep sweep taking the previous weekly high. That's the sort of first scenario that we'll go for. From there, we want to see continuation lower. We want to see essentially a market maker sell model be completed on the DXY after sweeping that buy side. We want to push back down for these lows and previous monthly low again. 10-year. So very big displacement down. In the sort of previous week, we didn't have any down moves on the bond yields, but we've sort of retraced into that displacement and we've left equal lows at the bottom here. So I would say it's very likely the idea of the dollar sweeping the previous daily high could be in play, because I think from here, if we get any moves higher, sweeping the previous weekly high into this premium, from there we'd likely see a kick down, especially if we compare something like that with CPI. It will be the sort of manipulation of the week, higher the week getting placed, and then of course the move down this way. Euro GBP playing games a little bit. After this massive wick, I really expected the following week to push higher, go for these equal highs over here, but just had a massive turnaround. I think, of course, what we would have expected is with the pound cutting rates, is this pair to go higher, right? Relatively, you'd expect the euro to get stronger against the pound if the Bank of England's cut rates. But instead, what we've had is a bit of a move down. But rather, I think it's going to be a consolidation. I do think this is still the target. I don't think there's any major, need for like a reversal just yet. But we may be heading these relatively equal lows. And it could be a case of accumulation, manipulation, then distribution this way after engineering a bit more liquidity here. It wouldn't surprise me. Look at USDCAD. So if you guys recall, what we said last time was we want to sweep on this high into the premium of this sort of range, right? Just to mark it out for you. We want to see a move away. Price started giving that move away. So looking for a setup here in my eyes is definitely valid. See accumulation, manipulation. We've let the manipulation take place, and now I believe we're in the distribution phase. Very similar to DXY, I'd expect this sort of daily IO Fed to hold. And from here, I want to see lower prices on USDCAD. If somebody is looking for an entry on this and you favor USDCAD over, you know, the other pairs we're going to look at today. An easy way to hit this would be a sell stop here and, you know, stop loss here. Not really sure how that would look for RR, but we can have a look. You know, for example, if we were to enter here, if you were to market enter where price is now, really, I wouldn't expect this high to go, right? If we're bearish, in a bearish context, I really wouldn't think that this high that's been placed and it's a nice weekly close we displaced the way it would go. We could target the overall target over here, which would just work out to just under 2R, right? And if you're able to enter a little higher, wherever price opens, and you're happy to enter somewhere here, that, you know, goes up by a whole 1.2R, right? That's a previous daily high sweep, which is, of course, very close by, basically a 3R trade. So it's not a bad setup. It's something I will consider. The other pairs that we're looking at, not the one we're favoring at the moment. USDJPY, definitely a sort of lagging pair in terms of the down move. It's very high, still in that range, sitting in that premium. We've had a, you know, big move away, but no break structure. Nothing that would make me want to favor this over USDCAD. You guys will see now we are currently in a position on USDCHF. I believe we spoke about last week. Very similar to USDCAD, hit the weekly premium. We've had a move away. From that move away, we then waited for the OT on this full hour. We hit it from the OT when we started getting a move away. We then trimmed the stop loss to here. We're very, very close to break even, but not at break even just yet. And since then, we had a bit of a move away and prices consolidated. So now, where do we stand with this, right? There is a chance price can come and sweep us out, right? We've not had any sort of buy side sweep inside that consolidation, but instead of sort of acting on it where this position is, there's nothing for me to change. There's no new invalidation point. What I would like to see is hopefully that this high holds. It's been made in the premium. We had displacement away from it. Price will sweep this internal buy side, all of those sort of mini highs in line with this here. And then from there, we get a continued move towards sell side is what I'd like to see on USDCHF for now. Right, that's all we're monitoring. Nothing new on gold either, really, from the looks of it. Quick one. Big wick there. We expected a move higher this week, but we didn't expect anything to sort of be, you know, groundbreaking. You guys can see it very, very clearly. It's a ping pong ball, right? It's just up and down in just range. We're in that premium zone. The odds are that from somewhere here, I'd be expecting the reversal back down. Usually covered this last. Didn't reverse order today. Okay, cool. So what we expected was a deep move into this discount fair value gap. We did not get that. Instead, price has moved off from where it is. Right, we've gone the daily. It's left some relatively equal lows, I'd say, between these triple lows. But as you guys can see, in terms of that proximity, is obviously much closer to the highs. So that retracement is still definitely on the cards. It's not off the cards, especially if we look at the weekly chart, right? Very big open fair value gap, meets the previous swing, and no sell side sweep within these candles, rather just to move up. So the odds are we're going to take that high. From there, we have to gauge, you know, is price going to continue building that range? Does it want higher and higher? And especially since we're pointing towards a rate cut, there might be a good chance that we do just continue without giving us that, you know, deeper move down. So it's just something to bear in mind. And lastly, very similar to the S&P chart, we have met a, you know, weekly fair value gap, and we've had a move higher. I'll say from here, I would assume the reverse was in, right? If this is a 3-bar candle, 3-bar swing on the weekly time frame, and it will be confirmed by this weekly close, and I would say the next weekly close, the odds are we will be hitting higher from here. We'd be pushing for this high and most likely past it and building a new range, very similar to the S&P. Right, just keeping it simple. But yeah, guys, that is it for the weekly outlook. As usual, any questions at all, anything I can help with, please just drop me a message.